Hello, welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel, and I homeschool my 3 boys using the Robinson curriculum as the base of our education. And today I'm going to be planning for the upcoming week. And here we go. So things are just going. No new changes, they're just going along. So I'm just going to write in Psalm because we're still going through those. If we stay on track, we should be done with our Psalm study the next week or 2. Math, he's just going through Saxon, and I always just record the lesson afterward and the score, so I know if he needs to redo it. For reading, he's still reading his Henty book, and I just found this last week we got a little bit off. So I don't know if we're going to catch him up this week or if I'm just going to let him continue on from where he is. But he's about 2 chapters behind. Just, extra activity. Even though I did a simplified week, seems like even when I give them less to do, they somehow still don't do something. Okay, and then when we do reading, then he'll do his study guide that goes with that book. And then we'll do vocab lesson. So he's on 3, so he's going to be on 4, which covers pro and retro. I'm going to make this shorter. I'm just going to write SG and then vocab. Then he'll have a study guide, then he'll do his vocab test. I always give myself these little circles to remind myself to record scores if it's something that I record. Okay, for writing, we're still working through writing and rhetoric. I'll just record what page he leaves off on, how far he got. I'm just having us do this for an hour. Just, get as far as you get, and then you get to stop. Okay, science. We are going back into our ocean anatomy. So he's going to do his, I'm just going to write shorthand. So notebook, video, and also activity. And I'm just going to write that notebook, video, activity on each one, even though I know there's not an activity for every single day, because I don't want to go over and get the notebook out to check. So I'm just going to give myself a space for it. And if there's not one that day, I'll just cross it off. We're not doing history right now. Okay, and then Monday we have Taekwondo, Trail Life on Tuesday, Everett has Teen Life on Wednesday, Thursday's open, and Friday we have Taekwondo. And of course Sunday is church. I'm missing anything. Oh, and writing. We're still doing spelling boot camp. Also write SBC for short. That's going really well. I'm really liking working through this with them, and when there's no pressure to have a spelling test at the end of the week or anything to see if you can go on to the next set of words, and we're just going over the concepts, the spelling rules, and spelling kind of terms that we need to know, and it's really exposing weaknesses and allowing me to give them more practice of what they need more practice on. We're getting a lot of value from this time so that I feel more confident that when we wrap this up, that they'll just be able to do their spelling packets with more competence, you know what I mean? Anyways, I think that they're feeling better about some stuff too. I noticed Everett still needed to work on his understanding of syllables a little bit, and William needed to work more on his consonant blends. So we're working that into his spelling boot camp more with their lessons. And so I'll show you what I got. I'll show you what I've been adding in to Williams to help him with his blends a little bit more. Okay, so right now I'm having, Everett's a part of his warm-up. I've added in words with multiple meanings. So this is his warm-up, but William's warm-up to practice his blends. William is 7. I don't know. They got something on the chalkboard, but So as part of, he does a lot of, so part of the spelling warm-up, they go through their phonogram wrong list that we determined at the beginning of the program. They go through all the spelling rules. They just read them. And then I've added this component, and this gets stuff that they can do independently. And then it helps me to, while I'm working, I'm usually getting my youngest, my 4-year-old, set up for what I want him to be doing during our spelling boot camp time, which I'll talk about what we're having him do when we get to his section. But so I've been having William just take 10 of these from the blends pack. I'll link these down for you below. But if you have something like this, you could use it. He goes like this, and I have him, so we're like, what is this a picture of? This looks like school, right? School. So, a dot means there's one sound, there's a one-letter phoneme. Sk. 2-letter phoneme. 2-letter phoneme. 1-letter phoneme, right? School. So then he sounds that out, so s. And then he has to ask himself, like, sk, right? What is this sk blend? He might just say sk, CK. It's a 2-letter k, He even can do this to remind himself that it sounds like school. He knows double O usually, makes the ooh, ul. It's an L, right? And then we're like, is that right? And then he can flip it over and be like, oh no, they used CH, right? It's a CH. School is school. Right? Because this is one of those ones, and we talk about this all the time in spelling boot camp, that we have more phonograms than phonemes. We have more ways to spell sounds than sounds themselves. So sk, it could be SC. It potentially could be SK. It could be SCK, right? But I've never seen, this is a good time for me when he does stuff like this to say, oh, I've never seen SCK blended together at the beginning of a word. So CKs come at the end of words. So it's just a good time to suss that stuff out with them. So if he gets it wrong, he can ask me about it, or he can just, correct it, move on. And then when he does 10, I just have him stick it in the back, and then he can just, then they're flipped over on the green side, so he knows when he gets to the ones that are flipped over that he's gone through the whole pack. Anyways, so that's something I've added to William. Okay, let's start William. He's my 2nd grader. Let's plan his week. So for math, I am working my way through these math facts quizzes that I got from taking Karen's sustainable remedial homeschool course with William. So we are just working through, so we're getting we're reviewing everything. We just do like 1 or 2 a day. And then I'm just checking off. And then if he misses one, he's only missed 2 facts so far. So I'm just highlighting those ones. We'll see at the end. We'll probably retest on all the ones he missed just to see if it wasn't just like error, just kind of due to fatigue or whatever, because maybe he's taking too many quizzes. So that's my math plan for this week with him. We'll just do a quiz, and then we'll do a game. I think that's all I'm going to have him do this week to keep him practicing his multiplication facts in the game. Okay, so for reading, we're going back to reading our McGuffey Revised, and then reading our McGuffey Original. Okay, and then we have comprehension questions. Okay, so let me take a look at my copy work he's been doing. Yeah, when I say comprehension questions, I mean I'm usually taking a question off of my comprehension check-in bookmark that we're using at the time. So that's what this one is. I'll link those for you below if you haven't seen those before. When he does McGuffey Revised, we have him do that revised copy work. And then he's going to be doing spelling boot camp. I also consider that writing. And then when we do the McGuffey Original, we are working on his how to write a sentence. Okay, and so when we do our McGuffey Original reading, which we're getting really close to being done with this book, just a couple lessons left, we then work on the how to write a sentence. And there's like 2 things I do with this. So they read that, we do a comprehension question. Then I like to ask a grammar check-in question to, find a plural S, find a possessive S, find a common noun, and just have them find those from the passage. And then also I have him do, usually we're doing 2 pages in here. So like the first day he'll do this one. It says, remember, an exclamation is a way to show strong feeling. Add an exclamation point to an exclamation, like, watch out, wow, oh no, ouch, yay, awesome, It says write an exclamation point after each sentence. So that's what they would do here. Write 1 or 2 exclamatory sentences below. So then he gets the chance to come up with his own exclamatory sentences here. I try to orally practice this first, like let's come up with one and I'll write it on the board, and then because sometimes they don't have the right idea. So before he goes through all the time and effort to come up with a sentence and write it out, because that's a lot of work for a little kid, I like to do it orally for him first. Sometimes I like to just have him, do that, come up with, 4 sentences or 2 or 3, however many. I just field it and I write it on the board. And then if something's wrong, and then I have him read it out loud, like I just have him dictate it to me so that we can kind of do some editing on it so he can see why something about it wasn't grammatically correct or why it didn't sound right or something like that. But he ends up with it written correctly on the board so that he can then copy it correctly, so he's not copying or writing things down wrong. I know that was something that I heard about Charlotte Mason, that she said, like, you don't want them to ever see it wrong, So, because that just, we're so visual that kind of can burn into our brains. If we see something wrong, our brain remembers it. So I want him to see it correctly before he, takes the time to like write it down and ingrain it in his little brain. Anyway, so I'll be doing, 2 of those a day. They don't take long. And the other thing that we do when we do this sentence writing is a good time. I've been still working through these fill-in stories, and my 6th grader loves to do these with us. So this is actually something we've been doing together. And I just made a couple grammar flashcards, for them, the things that we're most commonly going over. And so I have the boys review these flashcards. I'll just hold them up and I'll say, who can tell me what an adjective is? And see if anyone knows. And then I'll have one of them read the card, describes modifies a noun, We do that, and then we do this where and I think I talked to you guys before about, I found these on education.com. I'll say, okay, I need a name, and then name 1, name 2, and I just fill it in. And, I say, and I may say, when it just says something like name 1, I say, what is a person's name called? What do we call that? So that they'll say like proper noun. I might sometimes say, I need a plural noun, but I also might say, what do I call a noun if there's more than one of them? Because I'm trying to get them to say plural. What do I call a word that describes a noun? An adjective. I'm looking for them to say that. I'm like, yeah, I need an adjective. So we go through that, and then they come up and they're just really silly stories. And then they love to read them. Like they think that the 2 of them are over there just like giggling their little heads off at the end when they read them because they turn out so funny. Anyway, so this is just a fun family activity, and they're still getting their practice on their parts of speech and coming up with them. And if they have a hard time, this resource, this how to write a sentence, comes with, in the back of it, okay, there's verbs and adjectives, right? But they've got proper nouns back here, and then they've got plural nouns listed and some irregular nouns. So that's good for them to see. I always call these an internal change. When you make things plural, you either are adding an S-E-S or I-E-S. So either adding that suffix or there's an internal change. to the word. But they also have super verbs and super adjectives. So if they're taking too long, I'm like, just pick one. And so I will open this up and leave it out for them on the table to look at. So they can pick a verb or pick an adjective off of here, right? Anyway, so this has been really fun. I just thought I'd mention that we're still doing it. Okay, for science, yeah, he'll just be doing his science, his notebook, whatever video I have for them to watch on it, and an activity if there is one. I'm just putting it on there for every day. I don't know if we'll do it every day, but if we do it that day, then I'll check it off. Okay, the big kids are planned. So I'm just going to think about Bo for a second. My preschooler. Oh yeah. To catch up on my day. We did do school. Okay, so today is actually Friday, so I'm going to be doing a check-in with him to see where he is on our goals we set. So we're going to go through that some more today. He is moving along really well. I'm going to do an updated video on our favorite number sense math activities soon. Yeah, so I actually should make myself a note about that. And then I think I forgot to write down that Everett's he's doing the dragon and the raven. Oh, barely squeezed that one in. By G.A. Henty, my world history. So what I was gonna show you for Bo, what's new with him is, so when we start off the morning, so we do our Bible first, and then we're just doing actually spelling first, because it's easier for me to do the family subjects first. So while I'm doing spelling with the boys, while they're doing their warm-up stuff, like you saw me doing the blends practice on the little slate, and they go through their spelling rules cards and their phoneme flashcards, I get Bo set up. This has been working really well. So I'm having him use this resource right now while I will turn on Meet the Phonics, or sometimes like a Blippi where they're doing, I like the Meet the Phonics from Preschool Prep though, because they give the multiple sounds of the letters, like A, they say a, and ah, which I think is really good because that's how I'm teaching him. So I've been having him working through this. So I want him to, he traced the alphabet, but, so A, so do a big A, and he can do a line. So the way this resource works is the letters get lighter and lighter. And I like them to actually do trace and then write their own, trace and then write their own, because it gives them something to correct themselves when they see theirs, when they do the next one. But he kind of like ran through this one real quick. And then as a reward, he gets to draw the picture, draw an ant. And so I like to be able to sit here a little bit with him to get him started on this, to make sure he's doing the strokes correctly and holding his pencil right and stuff like that, and that we talk about the sounds of A. And I made this. So for like the long A for ape, then I didn't do an aw. I just did like 2 at the most. I didn't, just because they're going to spend too much time on the letter A and get bored. There's only a capital and a lowercase. I don't know. So it only kind of lends itself to 2 sounds, but we do all the sounds when we do the flashcards. But anyway, so I was just showing you, he's starting working his way through this workbook I made him. My only regret on when I put this together, and I'll show you what I mean. I made one for the Danielian cursive also, and when I printed it out, I corrected this mistake. I made it so that when I put it together, that they could see the big and the small on the same 2-page spread. I like that better. I wasn't as worried about it enough to like reprint this whole thing. It just would have been nice if I had thought about that before. But anyways, that is what he's working on during family spelling boot camp time. So while we are doing, this, he's doing this, and the time, and if he gets done, he probably can do his line or 2 or whatever and draw of letters pretty quickly. So then I just let him finish watching the video on letters, whatever one he's on. So anyways, yeah, I'm just keeping these 2 things together for the time being and pulling them out in the morning and getting our family spelling time together. I figure that makes sense because like phonics is the building blocks, you know, and writing your letters is the building blocks of spelling. So it just makes sense to be doing all that at the same time. I am done planning for the week. Happy homeschooling.